Hello, Notre Dame recruiting fans. I'm Greg Ladkey, joined by blueandgold.com recruiting expert Mike Singer. It's time for our weekly recruiting update, and the early signing period begins, Mike, in a little more than 36 hours. And I think for Notre Dame fans, all of their attention is going to be on what happens at the wide receiver spot. So let's talk about a couple prospects first. What is the latest with CJ Williams?
Yeah, I mean, he took a visit to USC on Sunday. Notre Dame was really hoping to have him, their elite wide receiver commitments on campus, but he had a state title game on Saturday, so he wasn't able to make it. USC being the local school, so he went over and made that drive and spent the day there. There's not a ton of just like gushing optimism right now. I mean, from what I was told on Sunday night was that Notre Dame was going to have a Zoom call with him sometime on Monday, later in the day, probably because he's got school out there and he's on the Pacific time zone. So, we'll kind of see, but I don't know, Greg. I don't feel super optimistic that Notre Dame's going to be holding on to him. I mean, he had really good home visit with Notre Dame last week with Marcus Freeman and Tommy Reese and Dill Alexander. Maybe he went on that visit to USC and he said, you know what, I feel better about the Notre Dame staff. I think if his family chose, I actually think it would be Notre Dame, but
Mm-hmm.
it's not the family that's deciding here. It's CJ. They're having the ball in his court to let him make this decision. I mean, he really can't go wrong between two, great academic institutions, with great football brands. So, I right now I would say I'm probably leaning USC, but his contact with Notre Dame has been good. The Notre Dame commits, 18 of the 23 were on campus this past weekend. A lot of the Notre Dame commits were texting him and, when they were all on campus, sent him videos. I think they had a FaceTime with him before state title games. So, um, I'm kind of torn here in my pick, but right now, as we record this, I'm leaning USC.
And would it be safe to say you're feeling a little bit better about Amorion Walker?
I am, yeah. I mean, if you would ask me this in August, I would have said, yeah, he's probably going to flip to Michigan or somewhere in the SEC, but
Mm.
he never flipped. He still hasn't, and he was supposed to visit Alabama on Sunday after his state title game. Kind of similar to CJ Williams in that they played state title games on Saturday, and then Walker's again supposed to be in Tuscaloosa and didn't go there. And you talked to Dell Alexander and the staff on Sunday, and I think he's going to stick. He's been committed to Notre Dame since March, and they prioritized him early in the recruiting process, offering him back in November of 2020. Got his commitment, stayed on him hard, treated him like he was an uncommitted prospect in terms of continuing to show him love and not letting up. And yeah, I think they hold on to him. There's plenty of buzz and with Michigan writers out there that they think he's going to flip to the Wolverines, but the intel I get looks good for Notre Dame. So I think at the end of the day, Notre Dame splits here, lands one of Walker and Williams. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I mean, Notre Dame fans, you're not going to hear this. I think that's a win when you look at, you know, the drama that's been going on with Walker for several months now, and everyone just thought he was going to flip. And in Williams, I mean, all the projections out there seem to be that he is going to flip.
Yeah.
So I think splitting there would be a win, and then go out and find a another receiver for the February signing period, maybe a transfer if they can keep guys like Braden Lindsey and Kevin Austin. On the current team to get them to return. I think Notre Dame will be okay for the receiver spot next year, but they got to continue to build recruiting at the position.
Yeah, this is new senior film from Amorion Walker put on his huddle profile within the last week. And man, talk about effortless ability to get behind the defense. He'd be a great addition to the Notre Dame class. And speaking of transitions, Texas A&M's defensive coordinator Mike Elko off to Duke to take their head coaching position. Does that open any doors for Notre Dame and Anthony Lucas, who has Texas A&M amongst his leaders?
Side note: Mike Elko, Clark Lee, Marcus Freeman, past three Notre Dame defensive
Yeah.
coordinators, all head coaches now. That's pretty cool. I asked a source about that. I didn't really get anything strong that that was going to open the door all of a sudden for Notre Dame. Like, I don't think he's eliminating Texas A&M because of it. But even if he did, I think, Alabama is probably in a better position than Notre Dame at this point. I probably I think LSU and Notre Dame might be neck and neck at this point too. So even if it's not Texas A&M or Alabama, LSU could even be the choice. He's really liked LSU even when Ed Orgeron was let go and before Kelly was named head coach. So I'm not seeing this one personally. Notre Dame, my sources had felt like Notre Dame was less than optimistic. And then when Marcus Freeman was named head coach, they kind of got some new life and new energy in the recruitment. But, I'm not seeing this one, though, Greg. Notre Dame would love if I'm wrong, but, I don't think I will be. But, again, we'll find out Wednesday. I believe he's announcing 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Okay, I know you're a big follow the visits guy, and Florida did get the last crack at Devin Moore. Um, what's your feeling around that? I know is there any optimism for Notre Dame?
Yeah, yeah. Detailed all these recruitments, by the way, at in the Gold Standard. You can find that at blueandgold.com. The quick update on Devin Moore is that I think it's pretty close. Yeah, follow the visits. Florida Moore essentially chose to visit Florida over Notre Dame.
Yep.
So that doesn't look good. He had the opportunity to see Notre Dame and picked the Gators. But I'm still hearing some optimistic things on the Notre Dame side of things. That they, he's kind of coming off this Florida visit, but he's not making an immediate decision. He's going to take some time and think things over. He did have 2 really good visits to Notre Dame for the USC and UNC games. So yeah, there's still reason for optimism that it's not going to just go Florida's way right away. The longer he kind of takes to make this decision, I think the better it is for Notre Dame. I'm not ready to say it's one school or the other right now, but if you were to make me pick right now, yeah, I would say Florida, but not ready to make that call.
Please hit like on this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel. When you visit blueandgold.com and you're enjoying articles like the Gold Standard, seek out our free newsletter. Got to sign up for that. It's a great way to keep up to speed on Notre Dame and Notre Dame football recruiting. Mike, you put in a new FutureCast pick for Notre Dame for 2023 defensive back Christian Gray out of St. Louis. What's your reasoning there?
Follow the visits, baby. This was his 4th time at Notre Dame, and all of them for very different visits. He had the Irish invasion, June 6th, where he camped for the Fighting Irish, texted extremely well and got his offer. Visited at the end of July for the Grill and Chill cookout event. Visited for the Georgia Tech game in November, and then visited for the bowl practice and met Marcus Freeman and that new energy that, a lot of recruits have talked about that's inside the Goog. So, I've said for a while, I think it's Notre Dame or Ohio State. I just get the sense that the Fighting Irish are recruiting him harder right now. They're, making him feel more loved. And I just think that, he's at an advanced point of his recruiting process. Like a lot of juniors haven't taken 4 visits to one school and 3 to another, the other being Ohio State. I think he's going to make a decision sometime this winter, maybe early in the spring. And I think it's going to be Notre Dame. I don't think there's anything super imminent right now. But if he makes a decision here soon, I think it'll be the Fighting Irish.
Quarterback recruiting is always interesting to watch. I have a 2-part question for you, Mike. First, is taking 2 quarterbacks in the class of 2022 kind of out the window? And then we're watching Chris Vizzina here, a 2023 prospect that was on campus this past weekend. What's the latest there?
I think fans watching this are like, Mike, you ever going to commit to anything like definite out there? Like, no, nothing's ever definite. So even if kids sign on the dotted line, you're always like, they could always transfer. That's very easy to do nowadays. So is it out the window that they're going to take 2 in 2022? No, I wouldn't say out the window, but I would say it's not likely. One quarterback to keep an eye on is Jack Lausch, I believe is how you say his last name. He's a
Yep.
walk-on commit for Notre Dame football and baseball. Northwestern offered him a quarterback scholarship. So does he flip? Does he stick? I mean, it'd be quite a walk-on get for Notre Dame, over Northwestern offering him a scholarship spot. And then, yeah, Chris Vizzina in the 2023 class. Really good looking prospect. Been able to see him in person and liked what I saw from a practice in the fall. And, by all accounts, he had a really good visit. I mean, Notre Dame's got a great problem on its hands with its quarterback
Yeah.
board. Like, I'll ask the question, does it take two quarterbacks in 2023? Because you got Vizzina, you got Nico Iamaleava, you got Dante Moore. I mean, these are all high-level kind of borderline five-star guys, not to mention Jackson Arnold from the Dallas area and Avery Johnson out in Kansas. I mean, that's 5 quarterback prospects who all have visited Notre Dame. And 4 of the 5, I want to say, have been on campus multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, Tommy Rees has done a really good job early evaluations, getting these guys on campus multiple times. So, good problem to have. I think Notre Dame is in a good spot for Vizzina right now. I mean, right now, I would say it's Clemson or Notre Dame, but I would keep an eye on Alabama if they offer.
Mike, as always, thank you so much for all the information. Make sure you all check out blueandgold.com. Again, sign up for that free newsletter. Hit like on this video. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's going to be an interesting next couple of days, so please stay tuned. Have a good night, everyone.